Justin, I know after your last fight, you said you want to get the nose fixed up and everything, and then you wanted to let that heal and sort out before you got this fight. But now that that's all healed, you have the name with Fiziev. How has camp been, and what are the emotions now 3 days before the fight?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, anytime you get here, start getting this close to a fight, you know, the intensity of all the workouts, you know, the excitement in all the coaches, the excitement in the air is really something special. So, yeah, I'm excited for it.
And Fiziev was a guy that had been calling your name quite a bit on your layoff. So when they came with you with Fiziev's name, did you go back and watch tape on him? What do you make of him as an opponent?
Yeah, I mean, I watch all UFC fights, so I certainly have seen his fights. But, yeah, it's a big difference this camp is I really have been studying my opponent, you know, his fights, and trying to learn, you know, patterns that I can take advantage of.
What patterns have you seen that you think that you can tell us that you can take advantage of?
I'll show you on Saturday.
And a lot of your past opponents like Charles and Khabib and everything, they're obviously very ground-heavy opponents. Fiziev is not that. He's like obviously has like 200-something Muay Thai fights. So how's camp been preparing for a very different stylistic opponent than recent ones?
Yeah, I mean, in mixed martial arts, you have to be, you know, confident in every single area. You know, there's just because he's a Muay Thai fighter doesn't mean he might not try to take me down. And if I do get to the ground, I've been working on getting up, you know, and working on a few submissions from the top. So, yeah, you can't ever look past somebody's ability to take it to the ground because we all in this sport have that ability.
How do his leg kicks compare to yours when you're watching tape?
They're faster, but not quite as heavy. So we'll see how it works.
You also told us when you did, I think you were a guest fighter in New York, that you had like a bike accident, like a little road rash and everything. Is that all cleared up too? Like 100%?
Yeah, yep. That was definitely, you know, that and the shots that I took in the Oliveira fight were a big reason why I decided to get my nose fixed and take a little break.
And I have to ask, what did you make of Islam's fight against Volkanovski? Did you think Islam had won?
That's irrelevant. I think I was impressed by Volkanovski's performance mostly.
And then the last one for me, I'm sure you're going with Kamaru, your training partner. But what is the path to victory for Kamaru against Leon?
Yeah, they've been in there for 39 minutes. He has dominated 37 of those minutes. He got taken down, you know, first round last fight for about 2 minutes. Outside that, he's been a dominant force, and I, you know, expect the same thing out of him.
Justin, over here, right in front of me. Hi. It's interesting you said you talked about him wrestling you. Are you expecting him to wrestle you?
I mean, I'm not expecting anything. You know, I go in there with the mindset that anything can happen. I do think he'll be more striking. You know, I think it'll be mostly his game plan. But any of us, as soon as we face adversity and something that we thought we would be successful in, are going to move to a different option. I think I'm going to be better on the feet. I think I'm going to create more damage, create more angles, control more space. And, yeah, I think he'll find a position where he thinks that might be advantageous.
Yeah, because I asked him about you potentially wrestling him, obviously because of your decorated wrestling background, and he said you'll have to. What do you make of his grappling if you've seen any from his fights?
I haven't seen much. Yeah, I mean, he's got some takedowns. You know, I think with the 3-round fight, if it's a close round, either one of us would be smart to try and take it to the ground in the last, you know, minute or two of the round to seal the deal. And
striking exchanges-wise, obviously you've shown that you can stand with the best. He's considered an elite striker. What do you make of his striking?
Yeah, elite. Yeah, there's no way around it. I mean, he's got some crazy skills, especially to the untrained eye. I mean, this guy is the best of the best. So, you know, I think I can take advantage of certain situations. I think I can create more damage in certain situations. I think I can control distance better, and I'm going to have to be perfect on Saturday in order for that to be the case.
One last one. What do you make of the Chandler-McGregor fight, and do you even care about the outcome?
Don't care.
Thank you.
Justin, just over here. You said on Embedded that Fiziev reminds you of yourself 5 years ago. Can you elaborate on what you see?
Yeah, I think just the confidence. You know, confidence is such a huge factor in there, and he's full of it. He's full of confidence, which is a great thing. Young, hungry, dangerous combination. So, you know, saying he wants to eat my heart, that's the shit I was saying, you know, not too long ago.
You said just there that it's a dangerous combination. Do you think that is dangerous for him going in there with that mindset?
I think it can be good and bad. If I think it'll prove to be good in situations, and I think it can be detrimental in situations. I don't think there's one way for anybody.
And in those 5 years, how would you say you've developed and grown as a fighter?
Yeah, I think my ability to control the chaos, the atmosphere, not let that get to me too much. I think that's what we're all constantly working on, is not being able to, for one, crumble under the pressure. There's a lot of pressure in these situations.
And he thinks the difference maker on Saturday night will be his fight IQ. What do you think about that, and what do you think is the difference maker from your side of things?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in much bigger fights. On this stage, the higher you get up on these cards, these numbered events, the more the pressure. So I've been here, done that. So yeah.
Do you think your experience does give you the edge?
I think my tenacity, my fortitude gives me the edge.
And how do you see it going down on Saturday?
I see my hand getting raised, as every single one of us should believe.
Thank you.
Question for John here, Justin. Were you a bit frustrated when the UFC offered you Fiziev, because obviously he's quite far down in the rankings in comparison to you, or was it a case of you were once in his position, so I'll give him the opportunity?
No, I think it's the natural progression of this sport. I come off a loss, fought for the title, 2 out of my last 3 fights. Number 6 isn't that far down. So yeah, I think at this point I got to get a win, and it doesn't matter who it is.
And do you think an impressive showing will catapult you back into the title talks? Or?
I think I'm sitting at number 3 right now. I'm going to fight, down in the rankings, as I think I should. And then after that, there's Poirier in front of me, Oliveira in front of me. Who's going to fight Dariush? The winner of that fight's going to fight for the title. So I either fight Poirier next, and if that's not the case, then I fight for the title.
Thank you.
Justin, hi. A lot of pay-per-view events now have like 2 title fights on them on the main card, but I think most UK fans are actually really excited about seeing you fight live on UK soil more than they would be if there was a second title fight on this card. Do you take a lot of pride in that?
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, I'm going to blow the roof off this arena. I'm the most exciting fighter that has ever stepped in the octagon in the history of this sport, and of course I pride myself in that.
With that said, when you're in those types of fights that you're so famous for, what is going on in your head in those moments? I spoke to Dan Hooker recently, and he was saying that he's kind of got 2 voices in his head. One saying, like, what the fuck am I doing here? And the other saying, I think the quote was, "Pony up, bitch," which I don't fully understand.
Yeah. But it's moving so fast. I definitely cannot remember a thought. There's your ability to retain information in there is non-existent. It's moving so fast, and if you take the time to retain information, your peripherals, your intuition just goes out the window for 1-2 seconds, and we're fighting less than seconds, less than inches. So there's no time for any of that.
And lastly, what's the benefits to you of fighting on the same card as your teammate Kamaru Usman? I
mean, I think with this being such a mental battle, knowing that he's going after me, vice versa, him knowing I'm going before him, it just gives you that confidence that you're not, you're in there alone, but you're not necessarily alone. I think that's the biggest advantage.
Thank you very much, mate. Pleasure talking to you.
Justin, one more front. To go back to that, you believe you're the most exciting fighter in the history of the sport. When did that mindset get there? Has it always been there, or was there a specific moment?
I don't just believe it. You believe it. You all believe it. You know it to be true. It's not on purpose. It's just who I am. It's how I compete. I'm cut from this cloth, as they say.
If you're number 1, who's number 2 and 3?
Number 2 and 3. I mean, if Fiziev keeps it going, he'll be up there pretty soon. But I mean, my most exciting fights that I remember is Anderson Silva back in the day, and John Jones going through the TRT era.
We were talking about this earlier, so I'm just going to ask you. People say that he's got an asterisk on his career because of some of the drug stuff, but in that era, he was fighting guys like Vitor who have been
Yeah.
proven. So do you think that asterisk kind of is irrelevant because he's fighting the same sort of...
Yeah, I think it's irrelevant. I think if he was to get popped now, I think it would be a different case. But yeah, in those times, in that period, it was a different ballgame.
Just over here, just another one. You mentioned briefly about the Beneil Dariush and Charles Oliveira fight that's coming up. Obviously, you've been in there with Charles Oliveira, so how do you think he does against Beneil?
Man, this game is so crazy. You know, anything can happen at any moment. I don't think he's gonna. You know, obviously, Beneil's not gonna be scared of the ground game. I think Beneil creates and causes a lot of damage. And if Oliveira goes down, he'll be unafraid to follow him to the ground, just like Makhachev did. And he submitted him right after that. So I think that's the scenario that could happen.
Justin, you mentioned about being the most entertaining fighter on the planet. How much does that play into the way you game plan for fights, and how do you have to temper that when it comes to game planning for someone like Fiziev?
Yeah, I would say it's zero. You know, it's not on purpose. It's just who I am. It's who I've been in wrestling. You know, wrestling can be boring. My wrestling matches were never boring. It's just the way it is. I don't know why. I can't turn it off.
You've tended to use your wrestling as a device to keep the fight standing, where you can do the most damage and win the fights on the feet. Are we likely to see more offensive wrestling for you on Saturday?
You know, I'm not opposed to it, but we'll see.
Great stuff. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.